This is Sean from the Midshooks Run Community Garden. It's June 7th, and I wanted to do a quick walkthrough and kind of explain what the last couple days, what's been going on the last couple days. So, kind of starting up from the middle of the garden here. This is one of our first community beds. There's a bunch of leafy greens, microgreens in this bed. Other kinds of lettuce, kale, some spinach coming up here. Carrots in this bed. I think we can plant more. We don't have any other carrots plants as far as I know in the garden and community beds. These were all the donated plants that came from Bear Creek Community Garden. They had a plant sale. I really rushed today to get these in the ground because a lot of them were just kind of struggling in these little pots. So the consequence of that was losing the varietals that were attached with each of these plants. So unfortunately we won't know specifically what varieties they are, but I thought this would be kind of a nice up potting opportunity. If people come by, we can give away plants, people who want to start gardening. My wife and I today, Natalia, we did a bunch of planting in some of these community beds. This first one is just basil. We got some basil in the ground. Did some Swiss chard and did a bunch of little transplants for for some leafy greens, kale and other kinds of things. They're really tiny, but hopefully they'll come in. Over here we have cucumbers planted, and just for reference point, I guess this is bed E. I think this is one of our gardener beds here, and another community bed here has our squash. It's got a couple different kinds. It's got a yellow and green, zucchini, and over here I threw a couple butternut squash in the ground. We do have some lettuce that just randomly came up, so if anybody wants to do some salads or sandwiches, grab some of that. These were transplanted recently, oregano, tarragon. We have some rosemary in here. This will need to get in the ground in a moment, but some rosemary transplants. And over here, we did a bunch of peppers. This was Kathy Clark, who did a lot of this work with Alicia, planted a lot of this stuff out. We got collard greens, tomatoes. And then we have another little seeding bed over here. A lot of little baby tomatoes planted in here by Alicia. All these tomatoes came from Hobbs and Meyer Farm. These are like little cherry, I think they're little black cherry tomatoes. And so if they get bigger, those are other ones we could pot up and give away. So you can see we have construction going on over here. This little structure is the beginning of our farm stand. So we have the first post kind of dug out, but it's going to be a big rectangle with a trellis and shade structure and everything else. So this past Sunday we were able to give water, a really good soak to all of our perennial trees, fruit trees, all the perennials around here. But if you're in the garden and you have a moment to water some other people's beds, trust me, you can never give these beds enough water. It's always better to have more. Really hard in this kind of soil to overwater, if not impossible. So anytime you're in the garden, if you don't mind, I mean, if you notice your bed is looking dry, you give your bed a little water. Just look around you and kind of a 360 and give your neighbor's bed a little sprinkle too. That would never hurt when you're here. All right, till next time, happy gardening.